Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to a Geek First Review. I am the number one Kylo Ren fanboy, Travis Snail, and I'm joined by.
I am. There can only be two, Taylor Field.
It's coming to get you. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, this is a Geek First Review. These are always for I'd say our niche audience, but I would say if you've not read the books, to definitely maybe listen. If you've not read the books,
Shouldn't even be here.
well, no, hang on. If you've not read the books and you don't plan on reading the book, I'd say actually listen to this because then it's worth it. If you're like, oh, I wonder what happened there, or we'll describe what happens to you because this is a review for Star Wars Shadow of the Sith. So this is a book, and we're getting the plugs and everything like that, but this is a book that takes place in between episode 6 and episode 7. I think it's about... I don't know how many years it is because I don't want to say anything spoilery, but I feel like it's like is it like 10, 14, 15, something like that? Does it describe per se?
It takes place 21 years after A New Hope. So
Okay,
let's
21
cut out.
years.
Yeah,
Okay.
you guys can do the math for that.
And wait, and how much time is there between 6 and 7? 30 years?
I believe around 30 years.
I don't know if that math makes exactly sense what they did in the book, but we'll see. We'll talk about it. But yeah, this is going to be a really interesting review because it follows Luke Skywalker, Lando, and you get a lot of other Star Wars goodness in there. We got lots of stuff we're building up to, the patrons. Thank you all the patrons because that's what you can do. Get episodes ad free, early, exclusive. You're going to get me and Taylor. We're going to finally record our Pixar Patreon special coming up. Did you remember that? Is your list done?
I remember that. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, it's our lists of the films, right?
Just checking. Yeah, you and I are ranking ours and stuff like that. So that's going to be fun. That's our bread and butter this month. And then the originals, our ladies are actually going to be hosting the originals. I will tell the patrons that I didn't announce that we've delayed it a little bit. I think it's going to be filming the last weekend of July, but there'll be time to still send in questions and stuff. We got our 7-year coming up, our 500th episode of Geek First Podcast, and then in a couple weeks there'll be some fun announcements. We got a whole weekend of Comic-Con. We got the next weekend's coming up. We got, I think it's like Nope, The Gray Man, the Marvel Animation Studio podcast, or the animation panel, the DC panel, and then the Marvel panel. So that's 5 big casts all within the span of 3 days. We're gonna be just pumping the Gray Man. I said I said that. I don't know. I might be alone on that. I'm not sure if you or anybody's watching it. That's that Netflix Chris Evans, Ryan Gosling, Ana de Armas assassin hitman movie.
Oh, it sounds familiar. Okay. Yes.
It sounds familiar. Where can they find all that good stuff today?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection in the search bar. Geekverse.ca is our home base. Geekverse is our Twitter, and Geekverse on our Facebook.
Yeah, all links are down below. You can find our video, audio, everywhere to subscribe, the separate feeds, the Discord, the Manscaped. Use our Manscaped code GVPOD to get 20% off and free worldwide shipping. You're going to want to do that because it's good stuff. I can feel it already. I can feel the heat in this room. I hate it. Summer's good. I love summer. I'm a summer guy. I love going to the beach. I love swimming's one of my favorite things to do. But I can feel that heat, and you want to be fresh right now. You want to be smooth. So Manscaped, look out for that. Use that podcast code and get 20% off free worldwide shipping. Pretty good deal. Just like our Patreon. Not only are you getting good stuff, you're helping us as well. The more you use that code, if you're even if you're already using Manscaped code and you just need new blades or something little, use that because not only you get a deal, you also help the podcast. So we thank you very much because we've extended all the way September. So you guys, gals, and everyone in between been helping us out. So I'm trying to think, there'll be multiple newscasts this week. I guess, yeah, we got the Miss Marvel finale. It's just July. It's just a busy month, But yeah, so now we're going to talk about. So yeah, like I said, if you've read the book, then definitely check this out. If you have no plan to, I definitely would. But Taylor, non-spoiler thoughts. What did you think of Shadow of the Sith?
This book caught me by surprise. Leading up to the release date of this book, I will say my excitement was not there. I didn't have much hype to really dive into it. All I knew was like, okay, we're getting into it. And this isn't a spoiler, but I'm just gonna say it. Ochi of Bestoon and all that stuff, and just
I think that was known. I feel like it was because I think half the people
it's
thought
not
Ochi
a
was in the
spoiler.
cover. Okay.
Yeah. So no, that wasn't a spoiler. It's just like Ochi of Bestoon. And I thought, oh, well, I'm not really like jive with it, but sure, what the heck? Like Luke, Lando, everyone on the cover there. That's fine. So finally, when we got into it, you started before me, and then you were throwing me like some like highlights here, like wait till you get to this chapter, wait till you get to this chapter, and when I started really diving into it, I go like 7 hours at once, just piling through it, and like it was
And then
just
5 hours with the credit card company.
yeah, literally. So it was just fantastic. Like this book is truly an essential piece of Star Wars. I think that if you want to not only appreciate the sequel trilogy, you need to read this book, but if you want to just get a really well immersed storyline that it takes place in the Star Wars universe, this book is great on its own, even if you don't want to associate it with the sequel trilogy at all. The characters that we get to explore, the developments, and the surprises that they tackle in this book just blew my mind. There were so many little things, even the little Easter eggs that they subtly put in there just got me so excited. And by the end of this book, this isn't even a con really, but the only negative component attached to this is I wish that we had this as a movie. I really do. And it really, really sucks because you have,
It really sucks.
it does. Like you have the sequel trilogy and it's as rocky as it is a start to finish coherent story. Again, rocky as it is.
It I don't know. Some people might argue about the coherent
It's
part.
no matter what, it is a coherent story, point A to point B with Rey Skywalker. That's all that it is. Is it rocky? Absolutely, it's very rocky. And the downside to this is this book on the uptick. Like it does a great job at, I don't want to say repairing, but filling in like little gaps that were left in the sequel trilogy. And I think that's a shame because like you have this semi-broken trilogy that was semi-saved by this book and what it can offer to the fan base and the community that can really dive into it.
As somebody that's a big disappointment watcher of Rise of Skywalker, and I'll spoil. I say I love this book. I'm not gonna say it saves the trilogy. I won't go that far.
For me, I think it adds a lot more depth to it. Like especially Rise of Skywalker. That's like the main kicker that you can tell this book is referencing and kind of like aiming towards. So that being said, I think it's a shame that you have a book that is point A to point B really well written and really gets down to the core of what it's trying to convey to the reader. And it's just a shame that this book story was written just to give us more context for an already established sequel trilogy instead of just being thought up and just created as its own source material, I guess, if that makes sense. Like it's a shame the movies came out, then the book came out to reference the movies and try and like fill in the gaps in the movies, whereas I wish that the book just came out and then the movies could just kind of run with this general idea and formulate a much more stronger trilogy based off of what we got. Again, this would have been a fantastic standalone film. It really, really would have. The things that we got, the action sequences that I was listening to because I did the audiobook, I was thinking, I can picture this, but I so badly wish this was a movie because there were so many moments I was like, holy shit, this is actually really intense. I'm getting chills right now with this. And there was just like so many good things. It's in the name, Shadows of the Sith. And if you like Sith, like Kirkland Patzer, I think this is definitely the book for you. And I mean, truth be told, like it's just a Star Wars fan in general, I think this is definitely your kind of a book.
Yeah, so you said a lot of things I agree with, a lot of things I disagree, and that's why these book reviews are always good because they're kind of similar to Cantina. One, I don't think you could do this exact film because the ages, right? You couldn't, especially Billy D. Williams. He couldn't be, I don't think, in a full movie.
Even with the like Boba Mandalorian de-aging they got, you don't think they could pull it off?
Like they could, but it wouldn't be Billy D. It'd be like a copy of Billy D. Much like we're getting Mark Hamill.
Donald Glover.
Then it'd just be Donald Glover and 3D Luke or whatever he is, deep fake Luke. But I think that's where I transition into. Of course, I'd like this stuff live action, but that's where, yeah, I absolutely love this book. I don't have many cons. I think there's some stuff. My only major con, or I guess only minor con, is like Taylor said. They made the movies, didn't really have much of a plan. They just went for it. It is what it is. There's some great stuff. There's some not so great stuff. There's some bad stuff, whatever. And we just have to kind of deal with it now and just go with the flow, right? I think that's the benefit that this book has is because, we were talking about that. I said, well, that's why the book can be so good because they know the ending of the story. JJ had the ending. He didn't know the ending of the story because I think... So he had the ending he wanted to happen, and that's clearly why we took a big detour. But when he made Force Awakens, at that point, he wasn't writing the ending of the story. Ryan Johnson was not writing the ending of the story. Colin Trevorrow was the one writing the end of the story, and they're like, you're not writing that ending anymore. And then JJ got his chance. So really, they never knew where they were going with it per se, because it was just let's let these Druckers have a good time. And there's pros and cons that I think overall for the trilogy it led to a con, because again, George didn't exactly plan out the original trilogy. There's some pivots he made, but it still was mostly his vision. It was one guy with bringing in different directors and stuff like that, right? So with this, they get that benefit of, okay, for whatever's good and bad about the sequel trilogy, they know how it goes. So you get to be really smart and clever with things because you have the outline. You can allude to things. Now, at the same time, my con with that is I feel like they allude to some stuff that's just too... I think it's most like it's not a spoiler. This is all in the book and everything, or all in the synopsis and stuff that you have are kind of, I'd say, 5 main characters. You got Luke and Lando, you got Ochi, and you got Rey's parents. I think they get really close to similar like Obi-Wan, of like how Obi-Wan gets a little like Reva and Obi-Wan get a little too close to the Vader and Luke situations. They do that a few times in this book where it's like, I don't know, from the movies I watched, the fact that they are this close to some of these scenarios does not track at all, and I'll talk about that in the review, but that's just like a minor stuff, and you say, well, I guess it's the world it is, right? But I think it's so crazy because it's just they give Lando this arc, and Lando's probably my favorite character, and I like Lando. I don't even know if Lando's in my top 10 Star Wars characters. I don't know if we've ever done that list. I feel like maybe we did for a 7-year, but like I love Lando. That's a good thing about Star Wars. I love lots of characters. I could make a top 25 because there's so many fun little ones and whatnot. But his arc was really something. Credit to, because we did Audible. Credit to the voice actor, who I don't know. I've heard of before, but he did like a really good job of what he didn't sound exactly like Billy D. Williams, but he had that cadence. So I love it. Like when we did Master of Apprentice, that guy just like nailed Qui-Gon. It just helps you because I can see Billy D. And even though Donald did a great job, I still hear and see Billy D. I still see him with that cape and Empire Strikes Back. Like that's the Lando I picture. But his arc is really good, and that's the other thing too. Like his arc. There's elements to it. This isn't a big spoiler. There's elements that they allude to with the story about him losing his daughter, because it has to do with kids and kidnapping and stuff like that. Did we ever actually hear about him losing a daughter in Rise of Skywalker? Is that just other canon stuff that we've heard that?
No, we did hear about it. I think
In
that was
episode 9,
all-
though?
In episode 9, it was all in that like last scene. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, check it out, because maybe it is. But
I'm gonna do a quick check here.
and this is where you're completely right. And even if it's not Lando, like you could have other character support, but I still think Billy D could have done enough. You just have to sit him down, and I think for Rise Skywalker, Billy D. Williams showed up. They just do this massive storyline with him in this book that they don't even touch upon that much in the movies, and it's just like disheartening. It's just like the fact that this is canon, and this feels like such a big chunk, such a big piece of the Lando character now that we didn't get that explored at all in the movies. It's such just a kick in the nuts. It really is, because it's so good in this, and we don't get to see this Lando in the movies really, as far as it's like he's very emotional and caring and distraught. We see kind of the very cool, like we get to see that with Han, right? Because he falls in love with Leia. But in this book, you get to see how when Han slowly, the smuggler gets taken away and you see the person inside there. You see that with this book, and man, the combo of, we only seen it a bit obviously in Return of Jedi, but the combo of Luke and Lando, really fun. Like I never knew I needed that. And getting to my whole overall point, I've said this many times, Taylor said this many times, but this book more than ever has convinced me, man, they need to get off their fucking asses and do an animated show like Clone Wars 4, 6 to 7. And that's where I say, I don't think you could have done this as a movie, but again, I would love it if they even just adapted this book as an animated movie. Make it an hour 15 animated movie, even if it's not Luke and Billy D. I'd love it if it was, but do like Clone Wars, get new actors. This enforced that there's so much more you can get into this, and it doesn't even have to be the direct sequel stuff, but just little stuff with Luke, little stuff with Lando. You could flesh out these characters, and Lando being the biggest one in this book, but everyone's great. Luke's great because this gives everybody that Luke that they wanted to see, right? As far as Matt, like what we get in Boba Fett, right? The Luke of starting a school, learning things about the Force, about the Sith, about the dark side, the light side. His students, some important ones in particular. Like it gives you everything you do want to see, and that's why I just really hope that. I don't know. I'm hoping with these books that they view them as experimentation, and they kind of like the High Republic. My always worried was like, oh, do they want to touch in between 6 and 7 because it's too close? But it's like at the same time, they keep doing all this shit in the fucking dark times, and it's like I'm sure George Lucas had no intention of making an Obi-Wan show about him leaving Tatooine and stuff. So it's like if you already did that, let's do the 6 to 7 stuff. And there's so much here, and I think it is. Fanboy Clay is completely right. Go check out him and Kay's review. And they got to interview the writer as well. So go check out. They got a good coverage there. The Bastards already got the Princess and the Scoundrel book, but that's why you go check out Star Wars Alliance, our podcast network. He says it's a great bridge from Return of the Jedi to Force Awakens. Absolutely. And that's why, again, it's a different writer. That's why in Clay, I think he's embargo. He can't say anything. That's why I can't wait for Princess and Scoundrel. Because I love that you had this like Luke and Lando adventure over here. And now we might get like a Land or a Han, like Leia mini adventure here. And there's just so much richness still in the world. And I think this is something that another con that you and I had, at least, well, you would defend it, but I feel like we always said you needed more, is when Force Awakens starts, it felt like the Empire never went away, right? It's just Kylo Ren's there with new stormtroopers. And this is another good job of, cause you always had to tell me that, oh, well, some hid away. And they finally started doing that with Mandalorian of like, there was still pockets of the Empire around and stuff, but they didn't do a good job in the movies establishing that. It was just like, no, they just came right back and they took over. They're ruling the galaxy again. This shows that not only it's not just like the Empire, but just stuff, and hence the title, Shadow of the Sith, that there's little pockets of the dark side, the Sith, just bad people around that. Just because you won the war doesn't mean it's all over. And I think the movies did a bad job establishing it. And that's on JJ, and I love Force Awakens. That's one of my favorite Star Wars movies. I think that's probably my favorite Legacy sequel. I think he knocked that movie out of the park, but off the get-go, they weren't interested in setting that up, and it does feel like a really nice bridge to Force Awakens. And it's a book that I don't listen to too many of the books again because I just don't have the time, but this is one I probably will. There's fan service of new and old where for the movies, but also just they introduce like one Sith fan service thing that's just fucking cool. It's the stuff you love, and that's where this feels like a cool combo of not exactly this, but there's some talk about the Clone Wars, but it feels like a good combo of old Republic stuff mixed with the new trilogy, because there's so much like, well, that's why we both messaged Kirk like, you, if you're liking of Sith stuff like you allude to and you're no unspoiled thoughts, like there's so much fun. I feel like this finally not finally because they do it, but in the new trilogy sense, there's not much that taps into the, I'd say like man, John Hazelton's gonna be like, man, Travis is fucking another Star Wars name. Is it the Darmathian witches? Where's Maul come from?
Dathomir.
Thank you. The way when I watch Clone Wars and many others, you have the Force, but then you kind of introduce this almost voodoo-like version of the Force, or the dark side of the Force, where it can be manipulated and twisted and used almost like a witchcraft and dark magic. I love that stuff, and this is the first time Luke's dealing with that in our canon, right? And that's where there's some villainous stuff where it's haunting, it's scary, horror movie type of stuff, and it's all great. I think I guess it wasn't a con because I liked the stuff with Rey Parents. It's the stuff that I was pretty much the least intrigued in, other than there's some really good, like I won't lie, kind of flashbacks with some certain characters, but just because that story is, it's very minor. We know exactly how that goes. There's not much to it, but I liked even the little bit we got with them, and they were actually in the book less than I thought, because I felt like early on the book they were in it quite a bit. But yeah, if you are someone that you feel like you are like me, where you are mixed on the sequel trilogy, where you love something and you're missing something, this is a great book. Definitely get the audiobook if you don't want to read it, but that's my main takeaway, is kind of like you, that I don't know if it can necessarily fix the things, but much like Clone Wars, it didn't do it for me, but Clone Wars for a lot of people helped them enjoy the prequels more. I think an animated series could do that, and just this book, to me, this is a pure example of what you could do. And this was just a Luke and Lando adventure in like a weekend. Man, I guess it's just like a fun dynamic between the two, because this is Luke he's trying to transition into, I won't say too much, but just a really great dynamic of the characters. So did you ever find out about that Lando kid thing?
I did, and you're right, it doesn't mention it, oddly enough.
And it's
super peculiar.
It's crazy because they refer to it in comic books, they refer to it in this book a lot. It feels like such a huge piece of this character, and it's so like only Star Wars would have this massive piece of character like development and it not even be in the movie he was in. You know, it's just so weird. And the fact with episode 9, he's like, let's go find out. We're probably never gonna get that. Like, it's weird. And Star Wars in general is just weird with what they've done with some of the canon stuff and everything like that. But do you have anything else you want to say non-spoiler wise?
I do. I just found an interesting photo here. This is Ochi Bestoon, but this is when he was like working. So I think he was connected with Vader at times. This is in the dark times. Looks very different from our usual.
Looks like fucking Batman.
He kind of does. Yeah, some inspiration there.
Yeah.
So there you go.
No, there you go. Why was that the last thing you brought up in non-spoilers? I feel
I
like
was curious because he's in like some of the newer Darth Vader comics.
Yep.
And I thought that's super cool. So
we'll be talking about some of those in a little bit. So we're going to take our first ad break and then we'll be right back. So if you don't want spoilers, if we've convinced you, go get the book, go get an Audible, go get the Audible monthly, listen to it then, read it, whatever it may be. Or like I say, if you don't care, you just want to know a story, follow along. So we will be right back. And we're back. So I want to start with I think I want to start with Luke because there's lots of like Luke, you know, I'm biased. Luke's my favorite Jedi, but I also just think there's a lot of juice here in this book. So what did you think about Luke's journey and some of the stuff that we went through with him on this one?
Well, they do a great job at, again, just kind of giving us almighty powerful Luke, but then you also get to experience self-doubting, anxious Luke at the same time. And I like that. I like that a lot, where he's definitely almighty. He's a powerful Jedi Master. This is the fallout of Return of the Jedi. He's defeated the Sith, and so we think. Excuse me. And now he's just in the situation where he thinks he has everything under a lock, and sure enough, he's got tabs with Lor Santeca just popping off. He's like his confidant, you could say. And yeah, it's just a Luke Skywalker I thoroughly enjoyed getting to experience in this novel. He didn't disappoint at all. And the moments where he really needed to be that strong, reliable Jedi Master, he delivered. When we got to see the Sith kyber crystals just kind of like invoking terror on this little mining expedition area, and shit was just going sideways, I love seeing like Luke react to that. And again, Luke grounding himself and trying to save like Kaiza and doing stuff like that. Like, it just really, really was awesome seeing him like collect himself and just try to save people, save lives. And yeah, he was really, really written really well in this book. Like, this novel added so much more. Again, I had already put Luke really high up in my rankings list of Jedi, but this book just really, really reaffirmed that. Like, it's fantastic.
Really high is Taylor's way of saying he's not number one. You know, he's not number one. Who is number? It's not Anakin, is it? Anakin's not your number one?
Anakin's not my number one. We should do rankings at some point. Bring Cantina back.
We should. Are you somebody that like? Do you head over to Patreon? Maybe you bring that show back. But are you somebody that ranks like Vader and Anakin as separate characters?
Ooh, it's tricky. Would you rank Jedi Knight Revan over Darth Revan as separate characters, or the same character?
That's a tricky one because if you're following the books or like the game, like he lost consciousness of who he was, right? So it's like he had a complete turnover.
Would you say Anakin did too? Like,
no,
completely.
but Anakin didn't bump his head and like forget he was Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader. He made that choice, and like, because I don't know if Revan doesn't forget who he does he not switch over to the light side? I really don't know. I don't know, and I'm not exact. I haven't read all the books of those because I have a couple on Audible. So I would rank Wet Revan as one character. Yeah.
Okay. I'd be inclined to rank them as separate characters. I just feel like that's how it's always been represented to me. So, but I mean, if the rules of engagement were labeled as this, then I wouldn't lose sleep over it.
Is Anakin Skywalker just even in your top 10 Jedi?
That I would actually have to really think about. Probably just Mm,
Because I'm not
it-
like Taylor. I wouldn't be ranking based on power. I'm like
I'm not
who I
basing
think
on
is a great
power.
Jedi,
I
and he's not a
would put
great
in
Jedi.
like,
He killed
oh,
hundreds of
Anakin.
kids.
Okay, no,
That's
that
the.
was after he renounced his Jedi-ness. Like that was Sith mode. During
It
his
was.
time
It
as
was
a
literally the
Jedi,
same.
he was very, very good as a Jedi.
No, he wasn't. He took
He
a
was
lot of innocent life.
passionate.
He made
No, he
mistakes.
was
He broke the
passionate.
code. He made personal connections. And like, I don't care. You say he denounced Jedi. He woke up a Jedi, and that same day he woke up as a Jedi, he went into bed and killed a bunch of kids. Like in the same span of a day, he was a Jedi. He killed
No,
Mace Windu. He
no,
killed yeah, in the same
he
span of a
was
day though.
he was a Sith that day, and I'll speak to this because I just watched Revenge of the Sith. The moment that Palpatine confided in him, and I can like pull his saber out and then deactivate it, boom, he's in. Palpatine knows it. He knows he's got Anakin. That was it right there. He's a Sith. So he went to bed, slept on it, woke up the next day. He's like, okay, I'm gonna go kill
It's not
these
the
kids.
next day. It's the same day.
Oh, that
It's
was the
24
next day.
hours,
Oh
so.
yeah, yeah.
But anyways, speaking of Anakin, yeah, I agree with you that with Luke, I like that. I felt like we got a good combo of some of the stuff we saw in Last Jedi and Return of the Jedi. Luke, because it felt like he was still very confident, very, I won't say arrogant, but arrogant in a way because that's what Luke Skywalker is in Last Jedi. He's a little prick, and that's what I love. He just knows he can beat you, and that's it until he meets Vader. But even then, he beats Vader. That's what it feels like. It's that Luke with some of the same pepper and the same pep in his step, but then he's grown over a bit over his years, and he has a bit more knowledge and just kind of control over himself. Yet at the same time, he doesn't. It's not, and I don't know if this is what they are going for. I think that's kind of what they're. I think that's what so Luke has multiple visions, right? Things that could be visions are argued as real life because there's that one where he like fights a bunch of white demons and everything like that, and you could argue or white Sith and because he's on Exegol, just great stuff like going to Exegol. Like I feel like they have lots of great canon stuff for a bunch of generations. I felt it was weird Ochi being like I was in the Clone Wars. It's like that's a weird pull because we've heard nothing about you in the fucking
that
Clone
was
Wars.
awesome. I love that. That
Yeah.
was super cool.
But for him to be the best like bounty hunter or whatnot or assassin in the galaxy, like we saw a lot of assassins in the Clone Wars, not Ochi, but that's fine because it's a pull from there. But like even stuff like Luke seeing like the shadows of Exegol and pulling more in Exegol, like we've talked about it before. We all love the idea of Exegol. It's just like a planet of Sith and dark magic and dark shit. It's like yeah, great, you know. He sees that stuff. He has visions of, oh, do you remember what the guy's mask was? It was the Prime Elite or whatever it was, who the Sith that created the mask.
Oh, the Viceroy.
The Viceroy, yeah. But remember at one point Luke kind of has a bunch of flashes of his life and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
his name was Exum Panshard, right? Because he like has
Sure.
that whole flashback sequence of where he like kills one of the guys with of his corp, and then looks up to the Smith. The Smithy is like, "Make me this mask." Puts a saber in there. And then the Smithy's like freaking out. Then he gets his mask and he just kills all the members of his court. Like,
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
And that's what I love too, because I think it's two things. One, I think all Luke's visions, and he has multiple ones, and they're usually scary. I think they work towards the story and setting up the things he's feeling. But I think it also does give context, and it's never going to change people, right? The people that hate that Luke Skywalker rose a lightsaber on Ben Solo, they're never going to be happy with that. I don't think. Maybe I'll say never, but most of them won't be. But I think this is some good context of it shows. Right now, like, okay, he's on this adventure, but Luke's still pretty zen. He has a good idea of what's going on with students. He's not, the only time he's not zen is once he goes on this adventure and he starts getting exposed to like Sith stuff. But he's doing pretty well. He's a more powerful Luke Skywalker Jedi, but you can see that he's having these fucked up visions and things going on that are out of his control. And you could kind of see of like if he's starting to have these visions about Ben Solo, he's having all these visions all the time. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's sure going to happen, but you have him having visions here that happen to be true or happen to be flashing back to another time. Now, again, it's chicken and the egg, right? It's like that, you know, Lucas, Star Wars is poetry, it's a circle, right? The same way Anakin had a dream that Padme died and he goes to Palpatine, gets all this shit. You could argue that she was never going to die if he didn't turn the dark side, right? Like he caused that death. The same way with Luke, you could argue he had all those visions about Kylo Ren because he rose his lightsaber. There's a chance that Kylo Ren or Ben Solo never becomes Kylo Ren if he doesn't see his uncle standing over him in the tent and stuff like that. So I think it's great that you have that's a great thing I like about Luke Skywalker. He's a very powerful, you know, arguably the greatest Jedi of all time as far as the strength levels, but he has a lot of doubt in himself, and there's a lot of stuff going on with him, and these visions are one, and obviously that's something that costs him Ben Solo. In a second, he decides to act on that vision, and obviously, I don't know. It's not necessarily a vision because it's a Force ghost, but we're talking about this on Exegol, where okay, he has a scene, he's seeing all this stuff, and it's cool because you have these. What they to me just sound like Star Wars Nazgul to me, the way they were describing them and stuff, of like they couldn't sometimes come in and out, they seemed physical, they didn't seem physical, but then a white light comes and like, yeah, that's what it was. Sorry, the guy was a white light. What he was fighting, they were like black and cloaked, and that's where it just sounded like, yeah, they're just Nazgul, they're dead Sith and all this stuff. And you just see this white guy, he's shining bright, running around. And I knew, like, did you know who it was when that was happening? Because I feel like right away, I'm like, I know who this is gonna be.
I had my inkling. I mean, I maybe they were trying to convey like, oh, is it Obi-Wan? Like
Luke was.
Yeah.
Ben?
Yeah, clearly, yeah. But as soon as it was that, like, that's something I've wanted for so long, and I remember all the speculation in the sequel trilogy. Hey, maybe we might get that scene of Hayden Christensen reprising as Anakin Skywalker, and old Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker coming in. Oh, hello. Old Mark's.
Look at that cat going to town over there.
I keep forgetting he's behind me. I see movement. Like, what the fuck's that? Yeah, I think it's something I always wanted in the sequel trilogy, never got, and now they just dished it out here, and I'm super, super happy that they did, because it was fantastic to have that moment. It almost just seemed as if it was the first time they ever communed with each other, and I think so. I'm wondering now if it was the last time too, because it seemed like it was really draining on Anakin's.
Well, why do you think it was draining on Anakin?
Well, because he was using all of his power to, like, there's two ways you can go about this, where you have like prime Jedi planets and temples where Jedi can manifest themselves and just do some crazy shit like call in lightning and burn trees, right? And then you have long distance like things, like even in spoiler for Obi-Wan. It's a whole other thing. Qui-Gon is training Force Ghost, whatever. I'm not getting into that. But we have him manifesting himself, but that was only at a time when Obi-Wan was like set up for it. So again, it's not like when you want to appear, it seems like where Luke wasn't ready for it, Yoda was able just to appear just like that. And that was on a prime Jedi planet. So now you have long distance, like Tatooine, or I can't remember wherever Luke was. He was dreaming, and he was away from his Jedi temple or something.
He wasn't on Tatooine. He doesn't go back to Tatooine.
No. But you have Qui-Gon appearing on Tatooine with Obi-Wan, and you have like these more remote destinations and locations where the Jedi are, and these Force ghosts are manifesting themselves to the Jedi, and they're trying to use their power to do something. And I think that's much more taxing than if they were to appear on. I can't remember the name of the planet, but Acto. That's the planet. Yeah. So
I think he has that other base too, that where the actual school is, right?
Yeah.
I was hoping it's not what I got. My hope was that he was being drained because he was like, his time as a Force ghost was being taken away, because like, yeah, we let you be that for a little bit, but because you're a bad guy, like you only get so much of it. But no, he can still be a fucking Force ghost, and I hate that.
That's like some Scrooge kind of rules or something like that.
I would have been completely fine with that in Return of the Jedi. I was like, yeah, okay, you can appear and you can say hi to Luke and everything like that, but after that, like, you're done. You don't get to hang out with us in this afterlife. Like, you see all these Force ghost kids? Yeah, you put them all here, you motherfucker, stuff like that. But like I said, that's always going to be, that's down to George. That's a pet peeve of mine. They got to do what George says, so it's fine. But so given the rules that he can do this, I did like it. I don't know, because it's a big choice. It's a big jump, because I always watch Star Wars, and I don't know. And the good thing is you can kind of chalk it up to, it could just still even be just a vision for Luke. You don't necessarily know that it is like Anakin full on reaching out to him. I think it is, but I still took in my headcanon that Luke had never spoken to his father after Return of the Jedi. And I think I still prefer that in a bit, but I can't say it's not a bad like scene here, or a bad chapter. They use him well. They kind of, give him some dialogue that goes throughout the series. I think it's a good, what I do like about it at the same time, though, it's good that it's much like when we're watching the Disney Plus shows, it establishes you can have these very big moments in a book, so there's gonna be somebody be like, oh, I wonder if Luke ever talked to Darth Vader. It's gonna be, well, one time in Shadow of the Sith, and maybe that gets someone to pick up a book. So And it's a minor scene, and yeah, if we would have got the sequel trilogy, that would have been some random shit. Just Mark Hamill talking to Hayden Christensen. I don't know about that, And like I know everyone's gonna be like, oh well, we saw him in Darth Vader or Obi-Wan, like he you see he has the chops, but it's like. Yeah, but it was only one scene. Like, I still don't know. I know lots of people always like, oh, we need or Anakin to talk to Ben Solo. It's like, I don't know if that scene would have gone over the grace and stuff, but I thought it was a good scene there. All the vision and stuff, the way they would describe him. Obviously, we're listening to audiobooks, that's even better, but the way they would describe him was really good. So I think they did a good job with that. And we'll talk about some of the stuff I would agree with you as far as like I loved all the things of him trying to. What was the girl that was taken over by the mask? You said it was Kevka.
I'm pretty sure it was like Kiza.
Kiska or something like that. Yeah, people need to create like a montage of me screwing up all the names, and I'm terrible at this. Kiza. I do terrible even though I've listened to 70 hours of audiobook, I will forget these names fucking like easy because it's Star Wars name. But I love that he had that experience with his dad, right? He's trying to save this person. It feels like killing them is like the last resort and stuff like that. So who's that blue dude right there?
This is what Kiza was. This is their species.
Okay.
Funny enough, too, just kind of like a little side note, Pantorans, George Lucas actually played one. There he is there. Oh, yeah, in Revenge of the Sith.
Fuck.
Your boy George.
Can you see him in the movie?
You can. He's actually in there. When Anakin's running to the orchestra scene to see, like, Palpatine, you can see him just, like, standing there. I'm pretty sure that's where he is. He's either there. Yeah, when he goes into the room, the cubicle room. Yeah.
Wow.
Good shit.
That's crazy. Fanboy says they made it sound like he was gone forever. You never hear him again until the Rise of Skywalker. I'd be fine with that. And that same thing too. I like that it was like a very quick scene if that's the case, because that Luke even says that he's like, I got so much to ask him and so much to talk to him about that. But I feel like that the reason I don't want that is because that's kind of a cheat. I feel like that's the point of Return of the Jedi is you got that moment with him, but you're never going to learn fully about him because he's gone. You don't get that stuff with him, and that's why I wouldn't like it if after this he could just kind of talk with Anakin the whole time. And even then I feel like that would. If he could talk to Anakin the whole time, I almost feel like that would take away from him turning on Ben Solo, because he would almost understand Anakin a bit more and how he turns.
That's just it. If Anakin and Luke had a very much like a deep dive conversation, I mean, the whole sequel trilogy's done. Anakin would have been
These
like,
are the
okay,
5
this
signs
is
you need to look up.
the Wayfinder here to Exegol. You can get there.
Yeah.
Like, it would have just solved
the
all the
castle.
problems. Yeah. Like, go to the castle, get this.
If you need
you have to be
bitches
careful.
there, the code is 689.
There's gonna be someone trying to seep into your mind. Just ignore it. It's all good.
Yeah.
So.
You ever met OG?
Yeah, Ochi. Watch out for the Ochi. Yeah, he's been looking for this girl. I hired him a few times to do some work for me.
Palpatine has a son, which we don't know if he knows about, but and stuff like that. We'll get into probably Vader when we talk about Ochi, and then, so this is one thing, he's having this vision, right? There's 2 things I want to show that are just like massive can stuff that we had a good time. Sorry, I choked on my spit.
I was like, what's going on? Travis dying on the air.
When he was having these visions, they're all whispering like Rev and all this stuff and everything like that, which is great because I think we talked about that. I don't think Revan's actually been mentioned by name in the Disney canon yet, right? Other than like there was the idea of like you've talked about the troopers Revan and stuff like that, but I feel like he hasn't been referred to. And I won't say that because I guarantee it's probably happened in a comic book or something, so I won't say that. But I think it's just cool. I hope we're just slowly inching our way to Old Republic stuff, but it's just great because we're big Revan fans. So it's like, yeah, our boy's getting shout out there. So that was great. He's just shouting out names and saying stuff, and I guess that wasn't the Ochi Vader scene where he's hearing all these names and just whispering, and we'll get in that scene. That's great. But then the other, are you on the canon case for?
I'm always doing it, yeah, because the only other reference, again, the Revan thing. Because you're right, there's no mention of it or anything like that. We only had the Stormtrooper, Sith Trooper, Legionnaire. That was like, there was a Darth Plagueis one and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, Darth Revan one. In Last Jedi, there was a Jedi Kyber crystal pendant in Luke's hut, and it's from a Jedi Crusader. And it contained like a kyber crystal of a Sith lightsaber, and there's not much information on like the Crusaders, but I'm pretty sure that I'm assuming it goes back to around that time. Oh, we got a hyperlink here. And there's literally no information on it.
Oh, we got a hyperlink. Well, speaking of collecting things, so he collects a lot of things. That was I did like that aspect because he just feels like he's trying to play catch up so much, right? He knows, okay, he defeated the Emperor, he turned Vader and stuff like that, and even now he has school, he has students, but it feels like he's just constantly trying to learn. He's constantly a sponge, just trying to take things for yes, also to keep them out of bad hands, but just to be like, hey, what, how can I learn about this artifact? How can I learn about the history of that? And he just feels like a knowledge of wealth when they talk about that one Jedi. And I guess we can talk about them now, but it was Noctis was the name, I think it was, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, which is such an interesting story. And this is the type of stuff I love. This felt like a great, I would love it if they did a Black Mirror Star Wars, like just what if, not even what if, but just little almost like what we got with Star Wars Visions, actually, but something a bit more darker, a Sith version, the way we're getting Tales of Jedi, if we got Tales of the Sith. Because this idea of, okay, first of all, Noctis, he has this lightsaber, which it looks cool, but at the same time, I would not want that one. I feel like it's like a lightsaber that pretty much just looks like a fisherman's hook. I feel like that would not.
It's like
be
a
the greatest.
scimitar, right? That's the kicker.
But it's cool. It's great to have different ones, and then his story connected with their, what was their name, Darth Signus or Cygnus. If you search up if you search Noctis up, it comes up, but it's this story of. It's on Exegol, and this is where it's cool. There's artifacts to do with that mask with that whatever the prime guy, and this lightsaber belongs to him, because the second Luke sees it, he's like, oh, the legends are true of the lightsaber of Dark Noctis. And that's cool when you just have that like world building that Luke has read about this guy and read about the story. It's just fun stuff. But it's a story that he goes to Exegol and he finds, like I said, it's like Darth Signus or something like that. He finds this Sanguis. Oh, I was close. I had an L in there, but Sanguis. So he finds this pretty much person that just looks like Gollum, right? They're a creature and stuff like that. And he starts looking into what happened to them and, what could be fixed and stuff like that. But then the whole twist of the story is that Cygnus is actually, he also came to this Exegol and he got cursed or whatever it is. And he needs someone to like take his place. And that's what happens, where Noctis becomes like this creature and Cygnus gets to return as a man. And it's like every time, and that's like classic Goosebumps shit 101. I was like, imagine though that's Luke reading this story about this legend of Darth Noctis and what happened to him. That's cool shit. That's stuff that I love hearing about. So I loved everything with Luke was the Kyber crystals, the Sith lore, even the Jedi lore, but all his exploring everything I absolutely loved.
Yeah, I was just kind of like reminding myself here a little bit too, just how they played it up. There's more information on the whole Darth Noctis and Sanguis storyline. I believe it is A Life Immortal, Dark Legends. It's their first appearance.
And they have and that's mentions... what sounds like a little small story. Yeah, and I would love an animated show like that. But yeah.
Yeah, that came out in 2020, and it has a lot of illustrations as well in that. But yeah, looking into it more now, it's just such a cool concept because she goes there looking for immortality and just gets baited hard by Darth Sanguis, who gets her to perform the ritual, all this kind of stuff, making her think that, hey, I'm your servant. And yeah, it just goes crazy, absolutely crazy. So there's this. Did you see the photo of her blade and what it looks like?
Yeah.
You saw the photo?
Darth Noctis a woman?
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that part, but yeah, no, I saw the blade. Of course, that's why I was like, I don't know if that's good in battle. I don't know if that gets the job done and stuff like that. But and then the scene that I was, of course, this is what I was hoping for the whole time, and it happens. I think it was like chapter 16 or 14 or something like that, and he's on his little island and stuff like that, and then boom, Ben fucking Solo, and that's where we're gonna take our second ad break because that's a good cliffhanger. So we'll be right back. But yeah, Ben Solo is back. Well, he's not back. Who knows? He was back in my heart, and that's the thing where we've gone very little. We got that one comic book, which I did not think was the greatest of the Kylo Ren comic book in his origin. I thought it was rushed, and I just think the writing was not the greatest for the character. Where here, I thought it was great. We don't get him much, but yeah, I'm going to start with you because I was rambling on. What did you think about the appearance of Ben Solo in this book?
Surprised to be sure, but a welcome one. And
Were you
it
surprised? I
just,
thought we'd at least get something.
I was just going for the quote there, just
Okay.
to make it fun.
Okay.
No, I think it was really awesome just to see him in there, and just the way Luke's talking to him, like, Ben, we've been over this. And he's like, sorry, Uncle Luke, Master, so and so, like, just calling him out on that. Just fun little dynamics, and I like that Ben had seniority. He was going off and he was training the younglings and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just, this is such a rich area that I'd love to see, and maybe Disney doesn't want to showcase this because they're like, well, people already saw Anakin going through this and turn to the dark side, so we don't want to rinse and repeat. Some stupid bullshit answer like that, I bet. But, like, this is something I'd love to get to see. Again, like you said, in a Clone Wars styled animated series, it could be rich with just all these different adventures that they're going on, and it sounds cool just knowing. I'm sure that they've gone on some adventures themselves, but just, hey, Master Luke is just like bailing out for a little bit and going to do some stuff. And yeah, just getting his character again at the beginning and the end of the book was really, really awesome. I like that they didn't insinuate that Snoke was in his head or anything like that. I don't even think Snoke is like a speck in anyone's eye right now. Like, he's still being made in a test tube or something like that, maybe. But yeah, it was great to see a very humbled, not Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, just trying to do his best. And yeah,
Well, remember though, Fanboy Clay says Ben trained all the younglings he eventually kills. Remember, if
he
you wanna
doesn't
go,
kill all the younglings,
Yeah.
Fanboy
If-
Clay. There's
if
a
you-
comic that shows them all leave, and Ben's like, well, I'm not going to hurt you, or something like that.
and then a
Just-
lightning bolt comes down and kills them all. Like, so, like, I don't like like that's such a convoluted thing. I don't like that. The trilogy does make it sound like Kylo Ren killed them all. It really does, but the comic book does not. I think Ben Solo actually does not kill. He takes down the thing with Luke, and the only ones he kills are the people after him. Like, you killed Master Skywalker, we're gonna get you.
like self-defense. And then he just lights the place on
Yeah.
fire. That's all he
No,
does.
he doesn't light the place on fire. Someone
doesn't light
else
the
sends a
place?
lightning bolt to supposedly
Oh, okay.
Snoke, like what Yoda did in Last Jedi. That's what Snoke does. He just like rains, and like, because Ben's like, did I do that? Like, I don't think Ben Solo actually did that, but that's where it's like convoluted. It's just, it's so weird because it felt like they backtracked him being a good guy because it's like, well, we're gonna make him a good guy in the movie, so we don't want him to make it as bad. But then you still kill him off. So it's like, if you just kill him off, just make him fucking terrible. But like Tay was saying, I'm a big Kylo Ren fan and stuff like that. But the reason if they go, oh, well, you don't want to see people turn one, that's just like, I love that they don't have a problem with that, but they don't have a fucking problem with turning everyone good. You know, we got fucking Reva, we got Ben Solo. I'm sure it's gonna happen again very soon here of like another good guy turning bad. You know, you can argue that a little bit of Boba Fett, like that's what Lucasfilm loves right now, and I think that even the Sand people, like, oh, they're misunderstood. they're not savages. They're good people. You know, even the fucking what is it, the Rancor now. It's like, oh, if you pet it right, you know, he's a good guy. But why, when you were talking about, okay, if Disney goes, we don't want to do this. We did the Anakin thing, yet the reason it's different is because it's a completely different dynamic. And that's what I love about, if you look at the differences, let's look at the differences of Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Ben Solo and Luke Skywalker. And just this little snippet we've got here and the little bit we've heard in the movies, right? In the Clone Wars animated series, I don't know why I say animated series, prequel series, Obi-Wan and Anakin have like a brotherly relationship, but Anakin is always pushing against him, right? He's always in his face. He always feels like he knows better. He's always like, look at when he talks to Padme, like he's holding me back. I could be the greatest Jedi of all time. That's not Ben Solo. He's super nervous in this book. He feels like he's walking on eggshells. Again, it's a throwaway line in Force Awakens, but Leia says, me and Luke thought he should have been trained, and I should have listened to you. I should listen to you both. And to me, it's like, again, it's headcanon, but it's more what they're trying to insinuate. It's a little breadcrumb. They should have done more with it, but it's insinuating that maybe Ben and Han were like, I don't know if this is the right thing, even just in general, not because they were he was dark side, but just like maybe Ben Solo was never for sure about he was gonna be. He wanted to do this the same way Luke says he had that mighty Skywalker blood. So it's different where Anakin was introduced to the council, right? And they said he's the chosen one, and then all these guys said he's not the fucking chosen one. Where this kind of feels like everyone around Ben is like, you are the next, like you're gonna be the greatest Jedi of all time. Like everyone's telling Ben that, and it's like scaring him. And you can see it here with his like interactions with Luke. Every time Luke speaks down to him, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Like he backs off of him very quickly. That's why I'd love to see the jump from how we get from here to the temple when Ben like crashes it down on him, because they must get more attention. But in this, you're like, to me, it feels almost even worse that Luke, if you read this and think about how Luke thinks about striking him down, it's like Ben, so in this book, shows no signs of being dark and stuff like that. The only thing he shows is classic Skywalkers, a weakness of having a connection, because he keeps accidentally referring to him as his uncle or Luke, not as Master Luke and stuff like that. But that shows just Skywalkers, right? They're just with their personal connections. But that's where Anakin and that's what I hated some things about the sequel trilogy, that they kind of mirror each other too much, but they have a similar journey, but they're very different characters, Ben Solo and Anakin, they just have the same result. If they turn bad, they're bad for a while, they're pretty much the right hand man, and then they die because they try to save someone they love. And it's like, okay, that's kind of a bummer. But Ben Solo in this is nothing like Anakin from what we've heard. Very arrogant, very cocky, and there's reasons for that. And that's why I was happy there was no Snoke. I thought they might try to go in there, but no, I like that. Yeah, he's teaching the older students, and he just, even when he's talking about Luke being on an adventure, and you got to think this is a kid that's been taken away from his mom and his dad, and I think it's almost worse that Luke in this book and further forwards his master, because most of the time you have people that, they're missing their parents, but then they get taken away from their family, and there's that disconnect of, well, there's no more family for you. Like the Jedi Order is your family in a sense now, right? But for him, it's difficult because you have the Jedi Council, or what, not counts, but this new Jedi Order, hopefully, which obviously doesn't happen. That's his family. But then you still have a family member right there. Like Luke's still there. A member of his family member is right with him the whole time. So very conflicting. And yeah, I like the little stuff, but this, just like I said, I think a book is probably the next step. I feel like this is a bestseller. I feel like it's going to fall similar as Master Apprentice and in the High Republic stuff, that I think we won't get a series. I think we're probably going to get another book, and maybe that we'll get. I do think at some point they are going to tackle the Luke and Kylo or Ben training years. I just kind of want it now. I just want it as soon as possible. But I ate all that shit up, and it was good. Anything else to add on that? And anything else to add on Luke in general? Because I feel like we've talked mostly about him, but.
Oh, I mean, you talking about just like books, this book doing well in sales. This is a book I actually want to go and just buy like a hardcover of it, just add to the collection actually, because this has been like, it's a fantastic book. But just to kind of go back to the Luke thing, I don't have much else to really add aside from, his tie-in with Anakin Skywalker, his journey with Lando. I did not know what to expect on having an adventure of the two of them, and it's something that has always been in the back of my mind since they mentioned it in Rise of Skywalker, when, hey, Lando's talking about, me and Luke went out looking for Ochi's ship and all this kind of stuff, and I didn't think it was an adventure I needed to know, but getting it in this book, and it's probably just the way it was written so good that I was just eating it up. I love the dynamic between the two, where Lando has just been suffering with his daughter's PTSD, and then Luke is just trying to just learn all these Sith artifacts, stuff like that. It's just there's an inner turmoil dilemma going on with each character, but then together they've joined forces, and they're just trying to save this family. And yeah, it was just fantastic. It was really, really good.
Well, and that's what I like too with the Lando Luke stuff, that Lando doesn't understand that, because he does understand, but he's just not used to, because Luke's becoming more of a Jedi master and stuff like that, that there's almost a less personal connection there. It's still there, because there's times where Lando's crying, Luke checks on him, and they even hug and embrace, and they do talk. Like, I do think they're friends, but Lando talks about like how the last time he saw Luke, it felt much more embracing or kind of warm, where Luke is a bit more shut off now, and he understands why he is shut off, where Lando he's changed, but that hasn't changed. Like, he's still a friendly guy, and he would still consider Luke Skywalker a friend. And I just kind of love that, how he gets in the adventure of who's the guy again, that Kylo Ren, Kylo Ren cuts down in Force Awakens. He's in this I like
Lord Santeca.
Yeah, Santeca. I love that they actually have like Ben Solo and Santeca talk a little bit, because you think about where that ends and stuff. But I love where he kind of gets Lando on this mission as far as, Luke was going to look into some Sith stuff, and, Lando has a very similar story, and, well, you better go see Luke and stuff. And I love that Lando just, like, showed up on Luke's planet. Like, just no warning. He just landed there and everything. And
No, that was on not on the Jedi Temple planet. That was on Tython.
but, yeah, where was... I had searched Tython. When did it come up before? I feel
Mandalorian season 2 when the Grogu gets dropped off there.
Thank
to make
you.
connection.
Right, this the rock and everything. But okay, yeah, it wasn't his plan. But still, it was just so like Luke's trying to sense some stuff. He's just talking to Vader and everything, and then Lando just comes down and like, hey, everybody. But Van Wickler says Luke and Lando get angry at each other, but cool thing is they're able to see the mission first and know they're real enemy, so they're able to laugh it off, get back to business. And yeah, they never sense like they get back to blows. I almost feel like Luke and Han would got in more heated debates than these two did. And do you?
Luke just keeps walking, Lando just having sex with all these different aliens and robots on the ship.
Well, I was
or
surprised he
something like
couldn't speak to R2. He had to like look at the transmission because like I feel like he's fucked enough robots.
Some
He should know.
tension.
But like I definitely feel like it's almost like friendly. Know what it feels like? I don't know why, but it feels like if they were three brothers, Han, Luke, and Lando. Luke and Lando are like the middle child and the youngest child, and Han's like the oldest. Because I just feel like he'll get the most annoyed. And man, I would love to know. And that's why I wonder. This is why I want an animated series or even a book covering this. I would love to know what Han thought about. This is completely a Cantina like side quest talking conversation thing. But like we're talking about Luke and Ben and Han and everything, and talking about how Lando and Luke would get an argument. I don't think they have the argument because you take it that the night that Ben Solo took down the council with the help of Snoke and everything, that Luke left and was never seen from again, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Han must have fucking hated him after that. The fact that he never showed his face again after.
Oh yeah, he just he's trying to check on his son. The temple finds out temple's burned. All the kids are dead. His son's missing. Luke has fucked off and is nowhere to be found. What do you do as a parent?
Imagine that episode in an animated show when Han hasn't heard back in a while and he goes to fly that planet and it's just destroyed. My God, and that's what I love in Force Awakens because I just infer that. But when he's just like, yeah, I knew him. He sounds, and again, that's why
I knew that fucker.
Yeah,
that asshole.
That's why we're going to talk about Lando here in a second, why I'm paralleling him to Han, because I would believe that Leia and Han didn't survive that of like, man, your brother took him. I didn't really want him to become a Jedi, but he did. And then he just fucking left.
He just fucked off.
Yeah, he just like that would be. And what I like that they kind of did the same thing with Lando, that it sounds like he had a wife, he had a daughter, and when that daughter, around the age of 2, and they had this great little mini chapter. He has a flashback about his daughter just playing with his capes. That was such good stuff. Like there's just this little moment there, and I really appreciate the book giving us the chapter, like the title, and the then, now, or when. I love that. I love that it would tell us when the time was, so I wasn't confused, but. They set up so much good stuff, but when we meet Lando at first, he's just playing Sabacc, he's playing not Sab. Is it Sabacc? Is that the card one? I always mix up.
I think it was Sabacc.
Yeah, Sabacc. What the fuck is the Millennium Falcon chess game with the monsters and stuff like that?
Oh, I should know the name of that.
I always do. Yeah, but yeah, so they're playing Sabacc. And it sounds like
Dejarik.
Well, I would never fucking remember Dejarik. God damn.
Holochess.
It feels much like the way Han. I know people look at this as some people look at it as Con Force Awakens. I don't. That he did. He went back to what he did best. It feels like that's kind of Lando, right? He looked for his daughter. He couldn't find her. Again, I hate that we have this huge arc of Lando going through this with his daughter. In the movies, it's non-existent. The movies, you could watch all the movies and not know anything about Lando having a daughter kidnapped. I feel like that would have added so much to this, but. The fact that he's just kind of gone back to what he's doing. He's playing Sabacc. He's won some money, but not the greatest. But he's happy to take it and go home. And it's like this adventure because he overhears. I think it's a little coincidental, sure, but he overhears about someone trying to kidnap a girl. That springs like, man, my girl is taken. Maybe there's some sort of connection here. And I love that it kind of kicks him back to like original trilogy Lando of like he got some pep in his step. He's like, I'm gonna fucking do this. And at the end, that's why I feel like he's the heart and soul of this book. That at the end of it, when they find, of course, I don't even say spoilers. Why the fuck am I saying that? When they find Rey's parents dead and the girl's missing, that scene, one, the voice acting was good, but just if I feel so bad for Lando because it feels like in that moment he also just realizes that he's probably never going to get his kid back. You know, the fact that this is how it ended for them, and you know he's still.
I don't think they found the parents were dead. I think because they jettison the parents or just dispose of them in their ship, and then they got to the ship and there was like, oh, the ship's empty.
Who did he find were dead then? I thought they were standing by dead bodies.
I thought it was some of the crew, wasn't it? Because I think Ochi just went fucking apeshit on the crew members and killed them. But I think they tossed out the bodies out somewhere.
Okay, maybe I misread or misheard that wrong. But either way, the ending portion when they kind of realize that because they know the parents are, I thought for sure they did. But either way, they know the parents are dead. The girl's missing, and at the end of the book, Lando again tries to pep himself up of there's some sort of tip where Oshi's ship is. So like this might be a chance of information sooner. But it just feels like almost anytime he can get back to being Lando, something reminds him of his daughter or this whole scenario, and he starts to go down and down. And you see how he's changed, and man, just a sad journey at the end for him. And I do hope they don't even say it in episode 9. I do hope that is his daughter, so they found her. But I swear, so the kids that were being taken, I think, wasn't this in some canon that they were Force-sensitive kids, or was that something else?
Which kids are these?
The kids that the First Order took. Like Finn and stuff like that. Or is those just rumors, fan theories?
That was some kids like Finn were Force sensitive. That's just, you can't deny that in Star Wars. No matter what, if you pull like 1 billion kids, you're probably going to have a few thousands worth of them that are Force sensitive. It's just the way it is. So that's why it works so good with Finn's character. He's just randomly is someone who learns he's Force sensitive. But I don't think they were intentionally going after strictly Force-sensitive kids.
Okay, because my whole thing at first when I thought, because it was Janna, right? That's in episode 9. That's who's with the new crew. Yep. That's supposedly Lando's daughter. I'm not saying Lando is Force-sensitive. I definitely don't think. But one thing that got me, that I'm like, okay, if they're taking Force-sensitive kids, that means his kid could be Force-sensitive. And that moment when he's playing Sabacc and he's just kind of guessing the numbers and he's saying that the universe is telling him something, but he's like, oh, I just got a feeling about this location and stuff like that. That felt very Force-like. That felt very much like, I'm not saying he is a Force, even if the Force is trying to help him, but that felt very much like Finn in 9, where it's just like, I have a feeling and stuff like that. So yeah, everything that they did with Lando, I great. And this book actually, like I said, made Lando go up a few notches, because I always just like love the fun-loving, smuggler Lando, but giving them this emotional side again is something I wish we got, and hopefully we get an animated show, and we can get some of that. But anything else on Lando?
Yes. These are some Easter eggs that got me really, really jazzed. So before in the past, I've mentioned Darth Maul to you. Do you remember him?
No, are you bringing him up?
Yeah. He was the architect. Does that sound familiar?
No.
Remember the Sith architect I was talking to you in Kirkland about?
No.
Okay. Well, fuck. There is this mask here, and in the book, Lando actually talks about it, because in the comics. Yep. In the comics, here it is here. In the comics, Lando actually goes with Ugnaught, and they go and board Palpatine's, one of his like treasure yachts, and they go on, they find the mask, and the mask starts stirring shit up. It possesses some of the crew and stuff like that. And
I remember you telling me about that. Yeah.
So this, just to get that reference, was fantastic, because when they were tying in with X and Panchard's mask, it's like, this is so cool how we're having this tie-in. And yeah, like Darth Maul, he was a super cool Sith Lord that just came into power and like tricked Darth Vader and everything like that. Like, it was
Darth Vader.
He tricked Darth Vader. Yeah, he's the one that actually helped Vader build his temple. So the temple you see in Obi-Wan that Vader's residing in, that was Maul's design. It's so cool.
Did you just say the temple he's residing in? You didn't
residing in.
You mean Vader's tower?
Yeah, on Mustafar. Yeah, that was created by.
You could tell me this guy be like, remember, and I might be remember the fact that he'd be like, you remember that that tower?
The tower that he resides in. I know, it's the only tower he's in.
I know. So that when you're
what's
like,
the problem?
Oh, you know that one, because you made it sound like I didn't remember that. I'm not gonna remember this fucking random Sith Lord, but I remember Vader's castle on Mustafar.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because that was designed by Maul.
Great. No, I thought it was a good timing, because like you said, we got that villain where it was very much that, so where it could possess people to do what they wanted. It was always going to give them something that they needed, but not really. That was a lie. So
just a little bit more history here. Mom and like the way he tricked Vader was like, "Hey, we can build a way to bring Padme back."
Always.
and
This
it
fucking guy's
got
never
him.
gonna learn. How
No.
many times is somebody like, oh, Batman, remember back?
Yeah, and it fooled him good. Like he almost got bopped too, and there they are like fighting, and Mom like cuts his hand up. Like it's such a good comic run. It's really really awesome. But yeah, so there's that with Lando, which is just a fantastic tie-in. And then moving on from there, where is it? I have another thing. Okay, so Lando's contact Shriv is it's funny because he's only in one form of Star Wars media outside of this book, and I absolutely loved his character. He's fantastic. And for those of you who are wondering who Shriv is, I'm gonna populate it here. Shriv was in Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the campaign. You get to do a whole mission with Lando and Shriv, and it's freaking fantastic. You get to really see Shriv's character. So when Shriv was introduced in the book, I got so excited because it was so great to just be re-immersed with this friendship that was introduced in the game. And that's the other thing too. This book did a good job at just pulling things from the game, Battlefront 2, specifically his campaign. Again, with Lando and Shriv's adventure, to even Luke's adventure, where Luke storms one of Palpatine's vaults and finds a bunch of cool artifacts and stuff like that. It's just cool to see all these mentions and these tie-ins here. Did you beat the campaign for Battlefront 2 or just play the multiplayer?
I never played it. No.
Oh yeah, okay.
One day I keep saying I'm gonna get to it, but
okay.
Yeah, no. I didn't need the Battlefront campaign, you know. I was happy just to get the game. Everyone else did, and they still didn't buy it. So, but yeah, no. I think just overall in general, they did a lot of good job with the tie-ins and stuff. And yeah, I don't have much to say on the villain stuff because I kind of said in the non-spoiler that I think it's great as far as I think I'll say a bit more when we talk about Ochi, but I think it's great the whole possession of it. Like I said, taps into that like dark magic side of like the Sith and everything, which kind of works because Star Wars is more fantasy than actual sci-fi. So I like you have this mask, and I thought it was really fucked up that when the person dies and the mask still takes over her body and just is using it as like a puppet. You know, that's just like,
they just put mechanical limbs back on her and just send her back.
That was fucked. Like, okay, you find because I was surprised, and I actually thought this is one of the best. I've not listened to and read every Star Wars book, just the ones that I've been the past couple of years we've been doing. As far as like the description of a lightsaber scene, like that fight between Luke and her. That was fantastic. The description, the setting, everything, the moves, just the mood, like that. Bravo, and I'm sure it was like that written that way in the book. It was just fantastic, and that's why. Because sometimes I feel in these books, I almost don't care about the action because it's not hard for me to visualize, but I just feel like it's just like, oh, Luke moved to the left. Like it just doesn't hit the same way as you see in a show or movie sometimes for me in the action, right? So that's why it's like I almost sometimes tune out. I'm like, okay, let me get back when the character stuff, the dialogue's going on. But this, no, I think it's like chapter 40 or 41 or something. Yeah, that lightsaber fight, that fucking slapped. And then she died from explosion because metal shard went in her heart. But yeah, no, he just possessed her body again. And that's why I love that when Luke sees her again and it's just the body, he's like, oh my God. Like his stomach almost turns because he doesn't see any life force. He just sees like the Sith around her. Man, that was some.
Then he gets eaten by some fucking alien fish thing. Like her body just went through hell. Absolute hell.
Oh yeah. And even then, to Tomek, I like that we had the Comac character. I thought she was fun. I like that she was in the book, not too much. Not that I didn't like the character, just because I was happy with Lando and Luke kind of being the leads. But I like that she was another, again, like it was a Sith acolyte, like turned, and she used to be bad. And I was gonna kick. I was wondering where they're going with it, but I was still gonna kick out of them having Lando like kind of attracted to her, but they literally said attracted and scared at the same time. Like at the end of the book, he was kind of like insinuating he'd like to stay and he'd like to do some moves, but he still didn't. So
he's attracted to everyone.
Oh yeah, he'll fuck anything that moves, Lando. No one. I'm surprised he only has one daughter out there. You know. But yeah, I liked her as like a side, and I think she had good back and forth with Lando and Luke. So anything you want to add on those points?
Yeah, her origins, I believe they're much more explored in the Star Wars Aftermath trilogy, those novels.
Oh, okay.
So because it kind of goes into those, I guess, those acolytes and that kind of like the followers and stuff like that. So you get, I think she's referenced in it too, and I believe Kiza, however you pronounce it, I think she has some references as well. I don't know. Again, I haven't read that trilogy. I know it's a very popular trilogy. It's really enjoyable, but I haven't dived into it yet. But yeah.
It was recommended to me after this book.
After this book, who recommended it to you?
The Audible.
Oh, Audible recommended it to you. Adam Christopher. Now, Travis, you got to get on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But yeah. So let's take our last ad break. We'll probably talk about the Rey side of things. So we'll be right back. We'll be back. So, oh fuck, we're back. Actually.
Wow, what was that?
Well, I was writing down the ad time. That's why I was writing down the ad time, and I screwed up there. There you go. And I will 100% agree with Clay. The cool thing was the description of lightsaber stances. Yeah, I love that when they're talking about Luke fighting, it's like, oh, he had the master, whatever, current style. But then he's like, and this style that the other fighter was like of a older, like seasoned, like Jedi from like years past, but he's not gonna be he's not gonna be able to expect what Luke does and stuff. So yeah, really cool stuff there. But yeah, what do you think about? We can kind of put them together: Rey's parents and Ochi, because they're definitely big things in this book. I feel like it goes in time. I think it goes in spades where sometimes Rey's parents are in the book quite a bit, and then they're gone for a lot of chapters, like a lot of chapters. Then we get back to him. Same thing as Ochi, where he's there. There's some development about him, but he's gone for a while. At this point, literally with these characters, obviously in the sequel trilogy, there's lots of talk about Rey's parents, but all we've seen is that scene in Rise of Skywalker with Ochi stabbing them and stuff like that. So what do you think about Ochi in the sky, or the Reys, I guess? The Palpatines.
The Skywalkers, the Palpatine Skywalkers, yeah. Man, that could be a drinking game to have a shot every time someone says Ochi of Bestoon, says in a voice too. Holy crap. But as far as it goes, like with just Rey's parents, again, hardly anything really with Rey, just like, mommy, I'm scared, kind of stuff like that. Totally fine, like she's a little kid. I did get actually dates here for you. So
yeah, because I was wondering at one point, didn't they say they said she was only 6, right?
Yeah, so this
and
book
they said Kylo Ren was 16, and that's where I was like, what are the dates on this thing?
This book takes place 20 years after the Battle of Endor. So Return of the Jedi ends. 20 years later, we have Shadow of the Sith. Then Force Awakens is 34 years after Return of the Jedi. So we have 14 years between this book and The Force Awakens.
Okay, that makes sense. So Kylo's around 30. She's around 25, 26. Okay, that makes sense. Because at first I thought it was like 10, and I'm like, I know like Daisy Ridley's definitely young, but I was like, I didn't think she was 22 in Force Awakens. Maybe she fucking was. I don't even know. But I was like, I don't remember her being that, but maybe I could be wrong. But continue on anyways.
Yeah, with Rey's family. So I didn't mind Rey at all. She was, very basic character in this. We were familiar with her, and it was super, super exciting just to be like, oh, okay, we have the tie-in here. And then with her parents, just them not trusting anyone. I like that. It probably could get aggravating for some people, just like, oh, it's so close. Like Luke and Lando were right there, and they were almost there with the family, and so on and so on, like so close. But I like that it was this consistent adventure, and knowing how it ends up after seeing Rise of Skywalker, obviously the end result of the family in this book. I didn't think they were actually going to jump to when they get killed. I thought that they were going to just keep highlighting like, oh, Luke and Lando just never could track them down. But that's where I think with their story particularly, things got a little bit rushed, and that's probably the only like detraction I would take away. But it didn't feel out of place. Like things picked up, and then it really just concluded at the end to tie in to the Rise of Skywalker, and I like that. And again, Force Awakens tie in as well. But I like that we got it rounded off, because as much as I would have enjoyed getting another book, I wouldn't have really seen a point to it. I'm sure they could tackle another novel focusing on a different aspect of this, but what we got was A to B and tied in a nice bow for crossing the finish line, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, so I misspoke. I thought when she was 6 and we jumped 10 years, she was 16. Daisy really was 22 in Force Awakens happened, but I was like, they're trying to say she was 16 in Force Awakens. I was like, that's not the case. So that makes sense that she would have been, around 2022. So I am, like I said, non-spoilers, that I am one of those people that I think it's a bit too I think they get a bit too close to the parents and Ray. The fact that Luke was just so close to getting Ray, and we don't see her for years, and when he meets her, he has no idea who she is. Like it's just too like it's just I wish that it was the same story and they kind of interlinked it in a different way. But the fact that they were literally at one point hunting down this family to try and save the parents and the kids, I just think it's a bit too much as like. I don't know. It's just kind of strange that then years later, Luke would, come upon this girl. She'd go to him. But again, Star Wars, massive universe, but these characters keep bumping into each other. So it was fine. I like the parents enough. It was nice to get like some sort of background on them and everything like that. It was good. I think they wrote the scenes well with Ray. She's like a cute little kid. They wrote the scenes of their love really well. I like that the mom's last moment is just like thinking about how her daughter's safe and gonna be away. I like that how they explained the Umcar plot thing because I never understood that. I was like, why did they leave him with this dude? Like this dude's terrible. Even then they're like, he's not that bad, but it's like he's awful. He's awful in Force Awakens.
Portion.
Yeah, but I guess it explains that he agreed to watch her for a certain amount of time, and then when they didn't come back, she just became like a worker, pretty much a slave. Like not a slave because slavery got out, or it got banned, but it pretty much was slavery of just you get to live on your own. I'm going to give you these portions that aren't that great, but yeah, I was like you that I wasn't sure if they were for sure gonna show it or not, but I think it worked for this. We've seen the scene before, but this was way more in depth. And Ochi was a really interesting character because I talked to Katie and Clay about this. I've not read the Vader ones, and at some point I gotta sit down and just binge and read a bunch because Clay has said this, but I've heard many people say like just the Vader comments all just usually deliver, and there's some that are maybe better than others, but there's always good stuff. And as much as I bag on Vader and the Anakin character, I am always interested in to see them add stuff to him. I think there's some stuff that they've.
I think like the Vader comics are right up your alley. At least the ones that I've been reading through right now with the Inquisitors and all that. It's so good. He's a powerhouse. Yeah, Inquisitors.
Okay,
yeah,
Inquisitors. But with Ochi, so I never had this knowledge that he had gone to Exegol, and that's where I think like Dathan, that's his best use was he was just gave us. Like we got one quick Palpatine appearance in this book, and I love the scene when he's at Exegol as a kid because again we weren't really sure, not confirmed if Vader knew or not. I agree because I talked about this, Katie, that Vader shouldn't know about Palpatine's kid because I feel like that would have been way too much of a like if Vader would just ignore that, never use that. That was a really missed opportunity and stuff. So I like that. They go to Exegol, and it's from Dathan's point of view. He just talks. I love when he sees Vader, and he's like, he almost thinks he's a statue because the way he's so stoic and the way he looks like he should be a statue, but he's moving and breathing. So I don't really know what to take from this. And Ochi, again, and that's why I'd love to know the rules of Exegol because I believe that Vader and Palpatine, but the fact that like Ochi got to go to Exegol is like a little weird. I'd have to read the comic where it's in, but it still is like, I don't actually really like that. I don't think any like Sith users or like, of course, like Jedi users finding it like, or light side, dark side. You know what I'm trying to say. Like, what are you laughing about?
You want me to really blow your mind here?
What, is Ochi related to Jocasta Nu?
You never know.
Yeah, fuck.
So Ochi is not the only one that was there. So Ochi left with so it goes here. Yeah, so the Emperor and Vader departed Exegol alongside Ochi. And also, do you know who Sly Moore and Masameda is?
No. Do you have pictures of these people?
Oh, I got pictures. You're gonna lose your shit. Oh, this is gonna be great. This is Sly Moore. Do you remember this character from the Attack of the Clones?
Yes, but this character fits because they look like a creepy motherfucker. Like, click on that third picture down there, the one with the white background. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, it's a PNG. That's why. That fits to me. Ochi just feel like such a pathetic. Oh, is this supposed to be the supposed mother? What's that picture of? Go down. What's the picture of Palpatine and her together? What's that article lead to? What's it say?
Which one? Where are you looking at?
It's Palpatine and her together. Look at the very what is that? It says Star Wars.
Most trusted ally. It was Screen Rant. We like that.
Palpatine was secretly betrayed by his most trusted ally. Oh no! But anyways, I guess that makes sense.
Ooh, Sly Moore is actually working against his goal, assembling her own team to ensure neither he nor his apprentice becomes the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Interesting. Okay. She was an Umbaran. That's cool. So the other character, Masameda.
So she's gone to Exegol, right?
She's gone to Exegol.
That makes sense. Apparently,
he went too.
Okay. No. No, I know who that character is. But I don't know. Like, fuck. Is it just like a theme park? They're just bringing anybody to the Exegol?
I mean, it makes sense. Both of them were like Palpatine's like left and right handies there.
I guess, but but don't you think that unless you're a Sith, unless you're a dark side user, you shouldn't be going there?
I guess not. Oh, look at this fucker's tongue. That's an actual
That's his
collectible action
tongue?
figure. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Look at this toy.
Big Wumba coming in with quite the comment. Not gonna lie, she's kind of fine, boys. What do you think about this guy?
Yeah, Big Wumba.
Like, that
Let us
tongue,
know
man.
about that.
That's going all places. That guy is fucking the MVP at the orgy.
My
he can suck
God.
3 dicks at the same time. He can pleasure multiple ladies. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really, like I said, I don't like it. I don't like Ochi going. I don't really like even the girl going because I just feel like if you're a dark side user, that should be your path. The fact that normies can kind of go there, meh. But and that's where I was wondering because I just even thought it was cool that Vader went because I was somebody I hadn't read the comics and I just thought like maybe Palpatine had been there. There's plans like I could have seen Palpatine not letting Vader know where Exegol was. You know, like you don't get to know where that is, especially because what if Vader survived Return of the Jedi, right? And he has like it's really dangerous, and he's on the light side now, and he goes look like, hey, there still might be a place where Palpatine might be alive. Is this like very dangerous for Palpatine to do? So I was kind of surprised, but yeah, I guess he went there with Vader, Ochi, and something happened. Give you the old slurp 6900. Yeah, that's what he'll do, Big One. Well, his words, not mine. But Ochi went with Vader, and I guess something happened at Exegol, some accident where he just lost like his eyes and ears, and that's why you don't go to Exegol.
I almost did in the fucking movie theater because the speakers were broken seeing Rise of Skywalker, and it just your ears are gone, like eyes too. Yeah, the Exegol scenes.
Yeah, but I liked Ochi enough. I think they made him a bit too. I think I liked him better in the first half of the book. I think they made him a bit too of a loser in the later half. Like I feel like he's like I'm always the best. Like he just got a little too much. Like you know some of those like smarmy guys in the High Republic that are like Marvin Rowe, like who was that guy in the first book? Remember when he like held the Republic up for a bunch of credits and he was gonna pretend to blow up some spacecraft, but he then actually did. Remember him, right? He's doing
him.
and I felt like they make Ochi a bit too much like him. Like you know who I am. I'm like I liked it a bit better at the beginning, but I loved all the stuff with the blade, the hearing voices in his head. You know, this is gonna get an Exegol and it'll fix him. It's like these people keep fucking believing Exegol's gonna fix him. It's not gonna fix you at all. But yeah, I liked Ochi enough. I don't know how I feel about his ending. I'm 50-50 because I can kind of go, well, you know, in a sense, like Rey's parents kind of accidentally led to his death, and it's kind of like a good one-upsmanship, and it's just Ochi being very kind of naive, but at the same time, I think it's kind of lame that Rey's parents got killed by this dude, and then he just like crashes speeder into something, and you know, like he got taken over.
Quicksand,
yeah,
right?
that's I mean, like he got
imagine
taken
that
over.
worm ate him or something.
Yeah, he got taken over. Like I don't know. I thought it was kind of. I get what they're going for, but I don't think it exactly worked for me. I was kind of looking forward to Ochi being around and maybe someone else taking him up. The fact that he just got quicksand, I don't know. But what do you feel about Ochi and also his ending we got?
Yeah, he was a quirky character. I liked that he was, for some reason, I guess, yeah, he suffered horrible eye and ear damage, but that was just enough to motivate him to go back to the planet for whatever reason. I guess immortality, whatnot. But Big Wombo, boys, let's be real. I'll beat the shit out of Kylo.
I don't think so, Big One Ball.
Oh,
As Luke Skywalker and others said, and I feel like Taylor and Kirkland don't like when I say this, but it said he could have been more powerful than Vader. It's just the fact that he just could never dive
too
into
emotional.
him. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's that he ended up the dark side. You know, like I think he would have. I honestly think if he would have.
So when you say more powerful than Vader, do you mean, and now you say because he went to the dark side, do you mean he went to the dark side, him being on the dark side inhibits him from being more powerful than Vader, or if he just stayed in the light side as a Jedi, that would have made him more powerful than Vader?
So here's what, and even that thing, Snoke says that too, where he says, I thought you could be more powerful than Vader. I think what happens is Snoke / Palpatine, he sees his power. And I do legitimately believe that I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Do you want to take it? You want to say how it's a one cohesive story? Again, if you look at it, Anakin was trying, what was the whole crux? Why did he turn to the dark side, Taylor?
Well, it was the visions that were put into.
He was trying to
Oh
save
wait,
Padme.
with Anakin? Oh, sorry, I thought I was thinking Ben Solo. Yeah, he was just trying to save Padme. He's manipulated.
And he couldn't. No matter what he could do, all these things of all these fucking the Sith mask, Palpatine, he could never find a way. Ben Solo, whatever you want to say. Ben Solo, I'm not saying any of that, Big Wumble. That's just slander against Kylo Ren. He'd fuck you up, Big Wumble. But Ben Solo, as much as I don't know if I like it or not, when Rey died, he brought back Rey. And to me, that was, whether people like the sequel trilogy or not, that was me to them confirming, oh yeah, he was more powerful than Anakin and Vader, because what he couldn't achieve, he did. And what I think is, Snoke and Palpatine saw the power. Like, let's say his midichlorians, right? He saw Kylo's midichlorian case. Like, oh, this guy's fucking massive. But I think him being on the dark side did depower him. I think it was actually the light that would have made him be more powerful than Vader. Now, we saw that through Last Jedi, that he started to get more and more powerful with being Sith. I think that's what happened. Like, he's fucking bringing back people to life. Him and Rey are, and even if it is the Rey, like the, oh, what did they call it in this? It's the same thing Revan and Bastila had. What was the connection Rey and Kylo had?
It was a oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Fuck, I know it. It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my god. They had holy shit, it's like right there. It's right there. I can feel the Palpatine fingers. You have a
Oh, I got it.
Oh, do you actually have it?
A dyad in the
Oh,
Force.
you fucker. Yes.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. If you want to argue that made them more powerful, sure. But at the end of the day, Vader couldn't bring back Padme. He couldn't save somebody, but fucking Kylo could, you know? So, and like, I'm not saying you could bring back Padme when she's a corpse, of course, when she's gone too long, but it's just like, whatever it is. So I do think Ben Solo, because he has, and that's another generation, I do think from what they've said in canon, he was going to be more powerful than Anakin and Vader. It's just that the way that Vader almost got more powerful when he became Vader and he got more angry, I think Ben Solo, his anger led to his downfall because he always doubted himself, you know? So
I often was, well, not often, but I was curious about the whole force healing thing. So when I was looking into it, I found this cool like speculation thread, and the main thing as to why Jedi didn't do force healing during the time of the Republic was because it creates attachments. It gives people that ability, like, oh, you know, choose who lives, who dies, when their whole thing is rejoice who goes into the force. You need to accept that because force healing people creates that attachment, and that's where you have Grogu, who I think all these Jedi, they could do it. Grogu, he didn't have that kind of imposed mindset on him. He's still very young. So when he did it to Greef Karga, he just did it. And now you have a point in time later on where Jedi and Sith, they can just keep doing it however they please, I guess. So
true, but there is a difference potentially of healing and bringing someone back to life. Rey was fucking dead. We haven't seen it. We gotta see if Grogu can do that. Rey was sitting there with her eyes open.
We don't know if she was dead. You know,
I think she's dead because it took Ben
there's so
Solo,
many times where
him.
you've drowned and you're like dead, and they like resuscitate you. So
it killed Ben Solo to bring her back. I think she was dead. You know, so
well, he was already like excruciatingly weakened.
No, he just threw down a couple rocks. You know, Ochi, what do you think about his ending?
I mean, I knew it was coming. I was waiting to see that sequence unfold where he's just a pile of bones with the dagger in the snake's cave. So it had to happen. But again, that's where I say it was a little rushed. And it is a huge takeaway. No, I wouldn't have mind a few extra chapters at the end there just to kind of like cushion it and buffer it a little bit. Cause it was just like, oh, okay. He immediately thinks, oh, they're on, was like Pantora, I think was the name of the planet. Oh, they're out there and like, oh, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna kill my crew, I'm gonna just drop the speeder, and then it's all of a sudden he's like getting hazy and like he's been drugged or like something like that, and he's not thinking clearly, and he's just like drunk on power going out there, and his speeder's breaking apart, and yeah, he just gets annihilated.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I almost kind of forgot that he ended up in that fucking that thing there. I don't know. It was. I wish there was another reason. I wish it was a bit more climactic, but they just made him a fool. And yeah. Anything else you want to say on this book?
Yes. So, TIE defenders were mentioned. I believe that's what Kiza was actually flying around. You remember General Pride from Rise of Skywalker?
Was that Richard? Or was that Richard Grant?
Yeah,
Okay,
he
yeah.
was referenced in this too as High Colonel Pride. Fun fact, he had a coat made of Ewok hair, which he's talking about.
Oh.
It came from a whole Ewok family, and he's commenting on how warm it was on his snowy planet he was on. But he also talks about how he used to do death sticks as well, which is a fun reference to Attack of the Clones.
Clay was right. He there's two mentions. Ochi tried to assassinate Mace Windu. That was cool. I'm sure that went well for him.
That was when he was. Well, actually, no, he wasn't trying to assassinate Mace Windu. This is cool. So Depa Bilaba, do you know who she is?
No.
Okay, so Jedi. I'll show you. It's all good. I'm gonna give you all the deets here. So Jedi Master Depa Bilaba, she is. You might recognize her in.
Yeah. Okay.
The Bad Batch. So she's Kanan, Caleb Duma's Jedi Master, right? She was at the time, apprentice to Mace Windu. So Mace Windu was her master. So when Ochi was going after her, that's when he got caught off guard, because that's when Mace just pops out of the bush and starts like going downtown on him and stuff like that.
Ochi would have fucking lost if he stayed around too long. He also mentioned that he worked for. Did you catch that? Crimson Dawn. Lady Kira in Crimson Dawn.
Who worked? Ochi did?
Ochi, yeah.
Yes, yeah. You are very much right on that.
And
look at this, Clay. You think I don't know that the Defender was Thrawn's project in Rebels? Oh, baby, I know that. Big Wumbo, too.
Grogu would absolutely fuck up. No, you're gonna see in Mandalorian season 5, Kylo's gonna fucking kill Grogu, and everyone's gonna be mad. Like, yeah, he's gonna like cook his little ass on a fire, you know. But you have some max. Get his chats out of here. You got the toss of massive lineage issues, not Kyle. No, Ben, of course Ben does. That was fucking Anakin. That was Kyle. Luke didn't really get that, but he was thinking about too much stuff. What was I gonna say? Yeah, and that's another thing. I would love. Imagine if we got. Because do we know what the status is of Crimson Dawn after, like, during the original trilogy? Is it still running?
I think there's still a comic book going on.
What I would love if Crimson Dawn was still running, if you did an animated show from 6 to 7 and you have a Han with Leia bump into Kira and Crimson Dawn, that'd be fucking great. Like, that'd be so good. Animated, of course, so you don't need the rest of it. But animated? Come on now. Just give us this fucking show.
Well, it seems like, after Maul's death, when he went to Tatooine, that's when Kira actually became the leader of Crimson Dawn. So she rebuilt it.
So Maul was still a leader at that point?
Yeah, Maul was still the leader of Crimson Dawn. He had his like generals and stuff like that. And then
he's like, I'm going on a work vacation. I'm using my vacation hours. I'll be right back. And then nothing.
Just gone. So Kira's still kicking around. And it appears that she actually was going to use Crimson Dawn as a way to kind of destabilize the galaxy and undermine Palpatine and Vader. So they created, sometime between 3
they already
to 4.
did it. Kira and Leia already interact, says Clay. Fuck you, comics. No. Clay, what is it in the? I imagine it's in the 4 to 6 era, right? I wouldn't mind reading that unless you tell me it's bad. But okay, fair enough. Again, I would still be down. All those Star Wars comics we got from 4 to 6. I know people like the actual Star Wars comic. I feel like that was a really mixed run. I feel like some people said that was really good, and then there's some really bad issues in there. But still, fucking adapt it all. Just adapt it in the animated show, you know. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Kira's up to nowadays. So, is there anything else I got? No, I talked about everything. So, anything else you got notes wise to shout out?
Oh, let's take a little quick gander. Yeah, you mentioned the Darth Revan, Darth Plagueis, the like Sith acolytes or whatever were like chanting.
Oh yeah,
that was super cool. I think that's all on my notes. Yeah, it was just incredible. The amount of Sith stuff was just blowing my mind in this book.
Mm-hmm. Well, I will give what should I give this book? I feel like I'm somewhere like, and I don't want to go. I feel like it's not a perfect 10 because, like I said, I think there's a few things in there that were cons for me. Like I said, I don't know how I felt about them getting so close to the Rey family and everything like that. And I feel like it was a good length, but it still even could have been a bit shorter. I feel like there was a lot of stuff So right before Luke and Lando went on the mission to go like find Ochi, the parents, and everything like that, I feel like there was some chapters in there where there was just a lot of setup that I don't think we really needed it. I think there was a lot of talking, just like we get it and we kind of know where we're going. So I think I think I'm gonna give this a 9.25. I'm gonna cheat. I think nine's too low, which sounds like I think that's a good rating. Nine's too low, but then 9.5 is maybe too high. I'm gonna have to reread it again, but yeah, I think with that 9.25, that's still like a fucking A. Loved this book. I've not read. I'm guessing did he do the Aftermath series? Is that who Adam Christopher, or what else has he written there?
No, Aftermath is a different author.
So what is he wrong? Okay, and Fanboy K says it was Star Wars 18 between A New Hope, Empire Story, maybe Empire Return and Jedi. That's fine as long as I know they interact, and I guess that's all right. I think it would have been more fun to interact when Han and Leia are together, and then you meet Kira. I imagine it's kind of a play on that girl that Han was married to, so it's kind of similar. But I'd like Han to meet her in like the 6 to 7 era. Hopefully we get that show. I'm just always bummed when I think about it's not being made. Fucking D23, let's get it. Put on your big boy girls pants and everything. What do you show me here?
Showing you other books that Adam Christopher has done. So
From Star Wars?
No, just in
That's
general.
all I want to know. I don't care about his fucking other books. I don't got time for books.
I think this is his first one, actually.
Well, I hope he does more because I'll be here for it. So great job. If we don't get the series and get another book of this, then sure. But yeah, Taylor.
He did a Dishonored book. That's
I saw it in Stranger Things. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Taylor, final thoughts.
I am gonna drop a solid 9.5 on this book. It absolutely blew me away while we were talking. I actually just placed an order for the hardcover copy because it's on sale at Chapters. So I'm gonna go grab that tomorrow. Just quickly snagged it. So
you're buying this book, eh?
I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, honestly, I'll probably reread or go through it, like read it myself, because like this was just fantastic. The amount of Sith content that we got blew it out of the water for me. I didn't expect that. We got a little bit of drizzling of Palpatine. We got all of these mentions of former Sith Lords. Then we got a heavy dose of like Exum Panchard and Darth Noctis and stuff like that with these artifacts. And again, when we're talking, or in the book, when the workers at the expedition site like start to get possessed and haywire, and it's just like going to town, like I was loving that. The droids that were slapped with kyber crystals on top that were drawn to where they were located, like there were so many cool things in here. It was so cool. So this book, again, it would have just been fantastic to see in a movie. The only con that I can't make it a 10 out of 10 is because that ending got a little bit rushed. It was just a little bit speedy, but like it's a 0.5 flop. It's not a huge deal. It's not a deal breaker by any means. This book needs to be read by Sith Lord fans for sure. And if you're just a general Star Wars fan, I think you'll very much enjoy it. And hopefully, again, if you really like Star Wars, but you're just a little unsettled on Rise of Skywalker, give this book a read, because is it going to fix the damage that you might experience? No, but it's going to at least add a few more layers to that cake that's going to make a little bit more sense to fill in the gaps, because again, the movie has holes in it where it's rushed and you're like, I don't know these characters, like what's going on? Why are they doing this now? So overall, give the book a read. It's good. Good enough that I literally just bought the hardcover copy after buying the audiobook. So
the way I describe it, the sequel trilogy is like you break up in a relationship and the other you tell them why, and it's like I just don't know. We just need to break up. This book is like you get to know the reasons you broke up. So it's still not good because you broke up and you're still heartbroken, but at least you know why now.
Yeah,
so.
there you go.
Clay says he linked us on Twitter too, and they said just give the book a 10. No, Clay, can't do that. As somebody that would you still, I think in your letterbox like the Batman ranked as the last movie of the year, talking to me like, oh, just give this movie a 10.
That's his letterbox. He put the Batman as last.
I think Clay secretly is like the girl or guy in middle school that like picks on the person, but then they secretly like him. I think Clay, that's what he does, because he brings up the Batman so much that I think that's the way it is. And Clay, you got to see some more movies, because I'm fine you not liking the Batman, but last. Go watch fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Go watch Firestarter. There is some dumpster fire. But no, I can't give it a 10. I give it a 10 if I feel that way, if I feel it in my bones, and I can't do it. But still a great book that we absolutely recommend. And yeah, I'm not sure. I think that we got a few books. I know High Republic's coming back. We're probably going to we're definitely doing the Princess Scoundrel book. Probably going to do the Obi-Wan book. So yeah, lots of good stuff coming up. And I promise you it'll not be boring. And may the Force be with you.
Always.